Wallace.
And I have Don Holly here with me.
Three phases, dressage, cross-country, show jump. And you're out on course and something's going wrong or going right. You know how to react to what they're doing.
It was built originally to be a schooling facility, and so everything's set up very conveniently.
Welcome to the Jon and Rick Show, brought to you by Horse Trailer Pros. As always, really excited to be here for today's episode. We've got a great group of guests coming up here. Rick, we have someone who's pretty near and dear to your heart, your daughter, Elisa Wallace.
We do.
And then we also have Sara Murphy coming up.
I know, a girl that pulled off Kentucky along with some other major players that she had with her, but we'll talk about that when she's on.
Yeah, so unfortunately, a little bit of a heavy heart today to start. The news that I received at Red Hills this past weekend was quite sad, that our good friend and member of a lot of committees that I'm on and just a major contributor to the sport, Tremaine Cooper, tragically passed away.
I got that message. Yeah, it's very sad. We all worked closely with him, and he was just always just a really happy guy, and it's very sad that it was a tragic accident that took his life. And anytime your life is gone, but when it's that sudden, it's really shocking.
Yeah, and I just, I obviously feel horribly for his wife and his kids. And I just will say, I knew Tremaine pretty well. We didn't hang out, and we lived in separate states, separate parts of the countries, but he was a guy that I always enjoyed spending time with at meetings, at the annual meeting. And he was always a guy who was very thoughtful, and he was a very good course designer, but I think more importantly, he was a really good horseman, and he cared a lot about what he did and about the horses. And he always gave back his time, and was truly one of the most genuine, good people that I knew. So
I agree with you. He will be missed, and our thoughts and prayers are with his family and everybody that was very close to him. We're certainly sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know we're talking about trying to do some things to help out the family a little bit. So as that gets sort of put together, we'll make sure that we share it here on
Definitely
on the Facebook page and on the show. So keep
anything we can do to help.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Well, moving on, and it's a sad moment we're moving from, but we're going to move into a happy moment, and that was Red Hills this past weekend. I know that you're sitting here with sweat stains all over yourself because I know you were worried about Baby Prophet, but I think Baby Prophet took care of you.
Yeah, he was amazing. He went in, he put in a really nice dressage test. He actually show jumped really well. I truthfully, was a little bit disappointed coming out of the ring, having had 2 down, but that would be the phase that he needs the most work on. And so realistically, I know that that's going to get cleaned up. But what I'm thrilled to report is that he galloped around that cross-country course as good as any horse galloped around that cross-country horse. He was absolutely incredible.
And you finished 9th in the top 9, right?
Yeah, I finished 9th place. That was his first CCI 4-star, and really, really and truly could not have had a better round on the cross country. He just absolutely smoked around it. And I went out, I will say, like I always lecture my students, you don't need to go fast. You don't have to be competitive. You need to go out when you're learning the level and your horse is learning the level like Prophet is. You can go out and you just create good jumps. And I was actually shocked when I jumped through the last combination on course. I looked down at my watch and I thought, wow, I've got 45 seconds to get home and I've only got 1 jump to go. I'm going to make time.
That's amazing.
And so, yeah, we got home. We were just, I think, 4 or 5 seconds inside the time, and never had to press on him to make it. He just was switched on. So that was exciting.
Congratulations. I know Anissa is smiling from above, and I'm sure she was up there piloting you around along with your father. And I know Anne and her father is very happy that Prophet did so well for you. And we just look forward to the future for that horse.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited. I appreciate that. And obviously had all that on my mind. And also, it was really exciting. Chuck and Megan who own
Of
Profit,
course.
were able to come up and see him go. That was the first time that they saw him go advance because they didn't come to Pine Top.
And what
They
great owners.
Yeah, they're amazing. They're amazing people. So that was really good for me. And just sort of a rundown there, we had in the 4-star Maryland and RF Scandalous looked amazing from start to finish. They finished on their dressage score of 22.4. And just, I mean, if they stay on form like that, they're a force to be reckoned with for the world. So that was exciting. And then my former working student, Colleen Loach, who I've talked about a lot here, she finished in 2nd place. And I'm going to see, actually, I haven't even talked to you about it, but I'd like to see if we can get Colleen to come on the show here soon, because she's would be a great guest, I think.
I think that would be great. And then our friend was 3rd, wasn't he?
Yeah, so Leslie finished 3rd on
Leslie
Voltaire
Law.
de Tray. Yeah, so that was really cool. And I mean, when Leslie Law says that a horse is the best cross-country horse he sat on, that's really saying something. And I'm pretty sure I saw a quote recently where he said that this was truly, if not the best, one of the best cross-country horses that he's ever sat on. So that's pretty exciting to hear.
That gives that horse a lot of merit, because that's a gold medalist telling that horse that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. I'm like, well, he's ridden some pretty good horses. He's got a gold medal.
Yeah, right.
So
who was in 4th?
4th place. I had moved there. 4th place was Lauren Nicholson on
All right.
Landmarks Monte Carlo. And then just rounding out the top 5 there, we had Carl Slesak on Fernhill Wishes for Canada.
Wow, Canada's in the two of the top 5.
And actually
England,
three of the top 6 were Canadian.
3 of the top 6, and then 2 USA riders and 1 Great Britain. So
yeah.
Wow.
So the foreigners did pretty well.
Yeah, that's super.
And now you guys are getting ready, right? You're going to be heading up to Carolina here shortly, right?
We are packing our bags as we speak. We've got the Wonder Pony 14 hand Couture, aka Ahadi, doing her debut at the 3-star. Elisa is taking Riot Gear, Let It Be Lee, Munson Slew, and Sharp Decisions. So she'll be 2 in the 4-star, 1 in the 3-star, and 1 in the 2-star. And we're really excited about being back at Carolina. That unfortunately got canceled last year. So everybody remembers, right after Red Hills, like this day, everything shut down.
It's basically, this is the 1-year anniversary of COVID, as far as I can tell. So yeah, I'm really excited to watch you guys and cheer you on at Carolina. And now, is that going to be live streamed?
It is. Horse and Country will be live streaming it. I actually was called and asked to do the post interviews as they come out of the ring or off the cross country course. So I'm going to try to accommodate as much as possible, working around schedules. And, yes, it's going to be live streamed. I don't really have the schedule. I know the 4-star short's probably going to be the dressage. I think all of the maybe 4 and 3 for the live stream on cross country and show jump. But I'll get that schedule out. We'll post it on the Jon and Rick show, so everybody will Facebook page.
Perfect. Yeah. One more thing before we talk a little bit about Elisa, who's going to be coming up, is I did just want to mention, which I think probably everybody watching this show is aware of or listening to this show, is that rule that we had been talking with Tammy about at the last episode. And the USEA has basically decided to table that for a year, and they're going to go work on it some more. And I think it was something that could have been worked out and gotten done, but the board of the USEA felt that they wanted some more time with it, and I respect their opinion on that and think that there's some pretty smart people there. So I know they're going to be working on that and trying to get something. Move your head over to the right there, Rick, so we get the light. There we go. We're going to be working on that so that hopefully for the 2023 season, we have some new standards and MERs and qualifiers. So that'll be getting worked on by a group that's going to try to be, from what I've been told, pretty representative of the whole country. So
yeah, I know you're pushed for safety and probably a little disappointed we didn't move forward with something, and postponing anything to do with safety is always concerning. But I think to a lot of points, I mean, I think there is some points to be looked at, and I think that can only be done by having some more discussion.
Absolutely. No, there were some legitimate concerns that need to be talked about. So that's going to happen. So we've got Elisa coming up here, and there actually was a big announcement about Elisa and Simply Priceless. And so we just wanted to make sure we mentioned it here before we get Elisa on.
Yep.
Studio.
Elisa has decided to retire Simply Priceless, aka Johnny. 5 stars, a lot of tracks under their feet, and a lot of partnerships. So we'll make sure we flash some video of her and Johnny, and it was quite the ride, and he deserves his break. We've called him Benjamin Button, but at 20, the Button's about as young as he's going to be, and so we decided to let him be happy in the pasture and hacking around.
Well, I know Elisa, I'm sure, is sad that she won't be sitting in that saddle on his back the next time she jumps around a big track. But, like I said to you when I heard about this, I said, Elisa, I think sometimes doesn't give herself enough credit. She always goes on about what a great horse he is and how he, taught her so much, and he showed her around all these big tracks. But he had some experience when she got him, but not a ton of experience. Mm-hmm. And she taught him a lot and showed him a lot of big places to go and took him to some pretty incredible things that I can tell you, honestly, I don't think he would have done with anybody else. As you know, Rick, he was in my barn for a little bit.
Right.
And he didn't do that stuff with me. He did that stuff with Elisa. And she's the one who made it work, from making the owner's relationship work to making the relationship with the horse work. He's a quirky guy. He's a special guy, but like most great horses, he's a quirky guy, and she believes in him and believed in him. And, as much as this is about Simply Priceless and what a great horse Johnny is and was for Elisa, I think part of this tribute really is about what a great horsewoman Elisa is and how amazing she was to take a quirky, somewhat difficult, incredible athlete and point him in the right direction and turn him into Simply Priceless.
Well said, and thank you, my friend.
Yeah, well, I'm excited. She's got some great horses that she's going to now do the same with and make the next one. And I can't wait that we get to talk to her in the studio here coming up in a minute.
Me either. Sara Murphy's coming up as well. And everybody, we will join you back very soon.
Want to advertise on the Jon and Rick Show? Contact Jon at 352-875-8622.
Or call Rick at 850-879-2649.
For a horse owner on the road, your trailer is essential. No one enjoys being stuck on the road. At Horse Trailer Pros, we repair, renovate, and maintain all makes and models of horse trailers. We work directly with your insurance company or manufacturer for warranty repairs and insurance claims. Our state-of-the-art facility provides quick turnaround and friendly customer service. Considering a living quarter conversion? We do those too. Find comfort on the road with Horse Trailer Pros. Call or text 352-804-2131. HorseTrailerPros.com.
When it comes time to compete, I demand the best out of my horses and myself. That's why Elemental Fit Lab, the home of CrossFit antics, is my home gym. Coach Vilma and her team create a fun, welcoming environment for athletes of all levels. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned athlete, Elemental Fit Lab will guide you towards a stronger, healthier version of you. Mention the Jon and Rick Show to get 3 free personal training sessions with enrollment.
Sweet Dixie South is an equestrian facility built for the lifestyle of eventers of all levels. Whether you are coming to Ocala for the entire season, a week, a month, or a year, this beautiful 160-acre farm is the place to settle in and enjoy your time with horses. They offer a full cross-country course with 2 water features, banks, ditches, and amazing footing to gallop, a spectacular all-weather footing ring, large grass jumping fields, and dressage rings. Located in the rolling hills of North Marion County in Reddick, Florida, Sweet Dixie South has 100 stalls and numerous paddocks, apartments, a line of camper hookups, washer and dryer amenities, as well as common areas to complete your experience during your stay. Under the ownership of Mike Campbell and the management of Can-Do Joe Adams of Top Rail Tack, Sweet Dixie South has transformed into a premier eventing training facility in Florida. Go to www.sweetdixiesouth.com for more information.
Hey, Rick here. Do you have a horse suffering from poor performance, anxiety and fear, low appetite, agitation, or nervousness? Stress Less can help. Stress Less, the hot horse remedy, is veterinarian-developed, show-safe, all-natural formula that promotes calmness, focus, and mood balance in horses experiencing stress related to training, showing, racing, stall rest, and travel. This equine supplement encourages calmness, focus, and mood balance without affecting the motor skills or energy levels of your horse. It promotes a more willing and balanced temperament with no drowsiness or impaired function, resulting in increased focus, a calm mind, and a happier horse and rider. Try Stress Less today and see for yourself why we think Stress Less is the best hot horse remedy you will find. Check us out at centerlinedistribution.net and on Facebook and Instagram as Stress Less Horse Supplement. Welcome back to the Jon and Rick Show. It is Stress Less segment, and we all, three of us, we have Elisa Wallace here with us. Our horses are on Stress Less. So thank you, Stress Less, for sponsoring this segment. We are brought to you by Horse Trailer Pros here in the studios. I'm happy to have my daughter here. She was here last year, but this first time in the studios.
Yeah, Elisa, thanks for coming in.
Absolutely.
What you been doing?
Always a joy. Been competing.
I know.
Riding those horses.
It's been, both of y'all are kind of on the same trajectory with the advanced horses.
That's a big word.
I know.
Well, let's be real. Like, Jon whipped my butt this past weekend.
Well,
I have to say, though, it was like the best I've seen you ride. And I mean, you always ride well, but like,
I appreciate
was like,
that qualifier there.
Dang, Jon, you rode really well.
She actually did call me and she said, I saw them, they looked amazing.
That's a good little horse. It's easy to ride when you're on a good horse.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we talked about it in the last show that we had. I'm always commenting on your preparations and the ability to move back and forth and not have any kind of ego on it because you're more conscious of what you need to do to get it done. Elisa's the same way. And you, how many horses do you have going upper level now?
4.
4. And I guess we should tell a little bit about Elisa's background.
Yeah, so you've ridden around several 5-stars. You rode around Kentucky how many times?
3 times. I did 3 Kentuckys, a Burley, and a Badminton.
That's a pretty good record right there. And then you were alternate for which games?
Rio.
For the Rio Olympics, which is like the worst thing to be, is the alternate.
It's the alternate, but it's fun. I was thinking about this the other day because Sinead went to Burley when she didn't make the team.
Right.
And she burned it up at Burley and was first, but then ended up second. Elisa went in 2016. She burned. She was 14th.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'd take that.
Yeah.
To be honest.
It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that'd be all right.
You know, that was my Simply Priceless horse, which was he's an amazing horse. So.
But you know, I think the thing is, and we were talking about it when we were walking around that cross-country course at Pine Top, because you were saying, oh, you know, I remember you said, I wish I had Johnny. Like, I miss Johnny. He was just so amazing, and I'd be so much more confident. But what you're doing now is you're making the next Johnny, right? And I sort of empathize with you. I think that's the word I'm looking for, because you always look back on the horses you've had, and you think, oh, I wish I had that one now, right? And I hate to tell you
this.
It's
like that security blanket.
Yeah, you're going to be saying that for years about Johnny.
I know.
And I've got
It's a
several
horse of a lifetime.
in my past that I'm like, oh, I wish I had that one now. I'd be so much better. But the fact is, you wouldn't be who you are today if you hadn't had him when you had him. And you did some amazing things with him. And now you're taking that knowledge and you're passing it on to these next horses. And the one that I think is really cool, because you have got, I mean, they're 4 amazing horses. But the one that I saw at Rocking Horse was your dad's horse, Munson.
Munson Slew.
Munson Slew.
Who I know has kind of been the sleeper.
He is a sleeper.
The one that you're like, oh yeah, I've got these great horses, and Munson. And
yes.
Poor old Munson.
He's really come on. He looked great where I saw him.
Yeah. He stepped up to the plate at that Rocking Horse. He's been a tough horse to kind of. He's a quirky guy, and he's struggled sometimes with the mentality of his confidence when it comes to certain things, like in show jumping. But he's getting better, and he's moved up the level to intermediate. And I was really proud of him around that Rocking Horse because it was horrible weather. I mean, I couldn't even see, and he just ears pricked and was like smoking it. So
let's run through your horses. You've got.
I have Riot Gear, which is owned by Steve and Vicky Sukup.
And so what did he do at Rocking Horse?
He did intermediate as well. He's actually been competing at well, he had an injury, but he was at the intermediate level, and he's hopefully moving back up to advanced at Carolina, actually.
Okay, so that's next week.
Yeah. And then I've got Let It Be Lee, which is owned by Donna Biggs and Rosemary Spillane. And he was a horse that was produced by Kyle Carter to the intermediate level. And I've had him about a year now. So it's it can be different, as you know, like riding another horse that someone's produced versus producing your own. It's kind of a little different in how you have to build the relationship.
But he was, I know you had a little bobble at Pine Top, but he really was very good. You rode him great.
At the end, yeah, we had a 20, which is annoying, but that was totally on me. And my job, our job is preparing our horses so they can answer the questions. But by the end of that course, he really, I was proud of him because he stepped up and helped me in certain situations where I needed him. And I felt like by the end of it, he was a more educated horse and he was an advanced horse. So I felt, I definitely had going into that, some insecurities, and because Johnny has retired now.
We're talking about Let It Be Lee.
Yes.
Lee.
Sorry.
I was at Pine Top.
sorry.
I don't know where you went.
I went off somewhere.
Pay attention.
Jeez, he was sleeping.
Your daughter's here, for God's sakes.
I know, I was like...
So anyways, yes, Johnny has stepped down from the upper levels. I've made that decision at the end of last year, but like I said, people tend to think that Lee, they ask me if that's Johnny, because he looks very
it's a
similar.
dark thoroughbred, yeah.
And he does have a little bit of a similar style to him, and that's why I really liked him and we got him, because I just love the feel.
Yeah, their technique, their front ends especially, they were they're so good.
Yeah,
Right.
so it was a super weekend, and so that was Let Be Lee, and then I have Munson Slough, owned by my dad. No pressure. And
There is no pressure.
I know.
That's huge pressure.
And then Sharp Decision, which is a thoroughbred owned by Susan Day.
I love
And,
Sharpie.
yeah, he's a
He's
cool
a cool
dude.
horse.
He's a good boy. So he moved up to the intermediate level at Rocking Horse as well, but I'm going to let him drop back down to do another prelim run, because I feel like he just needs to kind of, it's still early on in the season, and that was his first move up.
Well, that's something funny enough.
So
just as a little sidetrack here, I remember Amy Tryon used to do that so much with her horses. She would, I remember, I think it was Poggio, when she'd take him to Kentucky, she always went and did a preliminary right before she went to Kentucky. And I think that's something as a sport, as horsemen, we need to be better about is you need to play with the levels. If you go run your horse around advanced and it's great, that doesn't mean now you have to run advanced every single time you run it. You can go up and down.
I do think that
play
is
with
a pressure sometimes people feel.
Totally.
Like,
but it's something you put on yourself, right?
Yeah, it's kind of an internal thing. It's like, oh, well, my horse, and my horse is green, and he had some green moments, I felt, and he's such a really great, honest, true horse. He'll do anything I point him at, but I just want to drop him back down and kind of do that play, because he's a really good horse for the future, and I really think that's important.
And I think that's a conversation we're lucky to have. I mean, she calls me up and says, I don't think I need to drop him back to prelim.
I mean, I had to do that with Munson
right,
last
had to
year.
do it. And I said to her, and she says, what do you think? And I was like, I have learned from you that your gut instincts are what you should go with, because you know the horse, you know what's going on, you were riding the horse, and if you have any kind of hesitation going out on an intermediate horse because you want some more establishment at the prelim, you go back to the prelim.
Yep.
Because you do your homework
and it kind
of
of falls into the MREs or MERs.
Yeah.
MREs you eat.
Yeah, MREs are military
Yeah,
rations,
I mean,
right?
it's tasty, but
military ready to eat or something like that.
I mean, I do like them.
Something.
I mean, they are good.
Yeah.
But in going, like, sometimes, like, Sharpie has spent almost 2 years at the prelim level. I mean, he has a fair amount of experience, but it's just, I'd rather be a little over prepared with my horses than under. And there have been horses, like my very first advanced horse, Jackson, that just skipped right up and it was super easy. But every horse is different.
Got to play with it. And so then you've got one more. I don't think we've talked about the fourth horse.
No, we did.
We did. It was Ryger, Let It Be Lee, Munson Slough, and Sharp Decision.
Oh, right. Okay, Sharpie. Right.
Yeah.
So, cool. So they're all going to Carolina?
Yes.
All right. And then what are you thinking as far as longs this year? Where do you want to take them?
Well, I mean, Bromont was on the docket, but
COVID, I don't know what's going to happen.
That's what we're having this conversation. It's like, what do you do?
Tough.
My plan, for what it's worth, is I'm preparing as if I'm going to Jersey. And then if Bromont looks like it's going to happen, I may or may not readjust. But I personally think, as much as I love Bromont, and no slight to Jersey, but I think I love Bromont. That's where I want to go. But I'm not sure you can, even when Jersey's here, I'm not sure you can count on, even if at that point they say, oh yeah, Bromont's happening. I mean,
yeah, it's
such a
tough
funny
to put
year.
in
You
there.
sure would hate to miss your lawn because you were waiting to go to Canada. As
For
much as I love
sure.
poutine.
Yeah, I mean, Bromont's amazing. I love Bromont. Any chance I get, I will and try and go. We were kind of thinking of Rebecca.
Yep.
Because I've never been out that way.
It's a beautiful event.
And it's far, but
Yep.
I mean, the
Well, it's
Californians drive over here.
That's
right.
right.
But that would be something that I kind of was thinking of to do. And since Lee has, now moved up to advanced, and hopefully Riot, I'll have those two as my top advanced horses. And I'm really excited that Kentucky is running this year because they're also running a 4 short.
Yep.
So I have it in the works if my horses feel good that they're going to run there.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I've got Prophet that I'm like,
Yeah, that's very cool. I think that's
if
cool.
he's going good enough.
If we're good enough, I want to go.
Yep.
Because then I won't feel so sad
Right.
that I'm not doing the 5. But I'll
You'll
be
be
just a
back.
little sad.
Well, I'll just be a little sad. I'll groom, I'll help.
Do you know what though?
Some
when
of
I
the
walk the
12.
course, I might be a little glad.
No. That's not the same. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, 12 minutes versus 6.
This isn't correct, by the way.
I was like, what's going on with that?
Yeah, we're 2 minutes-ish off.
Yeah. So, but that's kind of what I really would like. Hopefully we'll have good runs. I know Carolina is tough. And Carolina, for me, I never tend to have great results there.
Right.
But it always tends to make me sharper for
Right.
kind of the next. And that's kind of, for me, the result. That's where I'm a little tough too with all the rules and stuff, because me and Johnny, we never did super great at horse trials, but he is a fantastic cross country horse, and
Right.
and
You like to run and jump and gallop.
yeah, and he was safe, and he was
I
very
think
safe.
I think under those rules, Johnny would have still
I know,
come
but
in
still.
with the MERs that he
I know,
needed.
but the show jumping is always hard.
Well, I mean, it is always hard.
I need to be
Sure.
better. I need to be better.
Join the club, sister.
Right.
Listen, we're going to take a quick break.
Yeah.
And I want to come back. And I do want to talk a little bit about the Mustangs, because you got a huge following there.
Yep.
And I want to basically
Demand
capitalize
the
on that
brand.
and get as many YouTube clicks as we can out of you. That's why you're here.
Use me.
Yeah, that's why
Yeah.
you're here, basically, is to try to steal your
Try to
See the
audience.
help
bottom
you.
of your screen, subscribe YouTube channel,
Yeah.
Jon and Rick Show.
Hit subscribe.
Trying to steal my followers. Yeah.
Just not steal them, but
Borrow.
Borrow.
Okay.
Yeah. Use them as well.
Broaden their horizons a
Yeah,
little.
so check us out. So we'll be right back after a quick break. Jump for Joy USA has what you need for your private farm or recognized competition. Our jumps are no maintenance, easy to move, and affordable. No scraping or painting necessary. We offer jump stands, wings, fillers, water trays, and more. Poles are wood-filled and available in 4 weights and lengths. And we now offer octagonal poles. Our cross-country portables and brush jumps are extremely useful and have been used for training by the British eventing team since 1990. Easy to move from the arena to the field and no tractor required, so you can change your setup often. We ship coast to coast in the USA and Canada. Visit our website, jumpforjoyusa.com.
Hey, Rick here. Do you have a horse suffering from poor performance, anxiety and fear, low appetite, agitation, or nervousness? Stressless can help. Stressless, the hot horse remedy, is veterinarian-developed, show-safe, all-natural formula that promotes calmness, focus, and mood balance in horses experiencing stress related to training, showing, racing, stall rest, and travel. This equine supplement encourages calmness, focus, and mood balance without affecting the motor skills or energy levels of your horse. It promotes a more willing and balanced temperament with no drowsiness or impaired function, resulting in increased focus, a calm mind, and a happier horse and rider. Try Stressless today and see for yourself why we think Stressless is the best hot horse remedy you will find. Check us out at centerlinedistribution.net and on Facebook and Instagram as Stressless Horse Supplement.
Summit Joint Performance, the injectable joint supplement used by numerous international and Olympic riders, invites you to experience the winning Summit difference. Made of all natural ingredients, Summit increases mobility and comfort. Win your class with Summit Joint Performance. Grant Showalter has over 15 years of equine bodywork and saddle fitting experience. His technique uses manual pressure and stretching to release points of restriction, leading to freer movement, reduced soreness, and restored range of motion. He has a thorough understanding of the importance of a properly fitted saddle. You can quickly identify and correct any balance issues and can adjust your saddle on site. I personally have Grant work on all of my event horses to keep them feeling their best before, during, and after their competitions. Grant is based in Florida year-round, but regularly travels to Georgia, Tennessee, and the surrounding areas. For more information or to schedule an appointment, call 484-639-4454.
Welcome back to the Jon and Rick Show, brought to you by Horse Trailer Pros. Thank you again to Stressless for sponsoring our last segment, and we are still joined by Elisa Wallace, a complete relation to Mr. Rick Wallace, in fact, her daughter. So Elisa, thanks for sticking around. You didn't really have an option because your dad said you had to.
Yeah, never ends.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I hadn't talked to you since, so I don't know, a little while ago.
Yeah, 10 minutes ago.
So what I wanted to talk about was apparently you have an infatuation with the mid to late 60s Mustang.
I do.
Not with wheels.
I mean, I do like the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 66 to 69 are pretty cool,
Yep.
but like the actual
like the 64.
horse Mustangs are pretty awesome too.
So you do this whole thing with Mustangs, and it has really blown up for you, like for your career, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's been a huge catalyst to get you
Social
a lot
media.
of social media following, which has
It makes me
increased-
a little different among the eventers
yeah,
for sure.
Totally.
Yeah.
So what brought that on? Like why? How?
So it was always on the bucket list to train a Mustang. And I had a season where my upper level horses were injured at the time, and it was kind of a quiet summer, and my friend entered me into a Mustang competition program, and it was the Extreme Mustang Makeover, and I got fledged, my first Mustang, and I was like, what am I gonna do with the Mustang? Like, I'm not gonna keep it. I kept it.
You still have Fledge.
He's
Right.
priceless.
Right.
I ended up winning it, and they're magical. So it's just through the process of having a wild horse and training it, and because people ask me, it can be similar, so I can relate it to you. You know when you go into the start box at a 5-star?
Yeah.
And you're like, why am I doing this?
Yeah, every time.
Yeah. So it's the same when you walk into a pen with a wild horse. And then you go out there and the adrenaline and all that stuff, and you bond with your horse, and you're like, yeah, this is awesome. It's the same thing when you're working with a wild horse. But then there's that moment, and it's kind of the same when your horse like does things for you when you're in that like gritty spot. But when you're with a Mustang and they're so scared and they have all this fear and they want to run away, but then when they can put that aside and they're willing to be with you, it's like a very like big moment, and it's something you get kind of like addicted to. And they're also like talented little horses. Now they range all different sizes and mentalities and stuff like that, but my goal is to eventually get one up to the upper levels. I currently have 5 at the moment.
That's an addiction. is what
Yeah,
that is.
it's a kind of, they are potato chips.
Right.
The joke is you can't have just one.
Right. Apparently.
But they are, I do try to do a new Mustang a year and rehome it.
So, just to stop you for a second, how do you find a Mustang? Like, if I went out and I was like, I want a Mustang, I would call you and you would tell me.
Yeah, so there is the Mustang Heritage Foundation that puts together competitions, which those competitions are there to kind of help link the public with trainers that can train these Mustangs, because it can be daunting to like look at a wild horse and be like, oh my God, how do I train
So they're not
it?
going to like just give a wild Mustang to just anybody. If you're a
You
9-year-old
do,
kid,
you
are
do
gonna
have
get one?
to, the Mustangs are technically owned by the Bureau of Land Management. They're owned by the government. So you have to put in an application to apply to adopt this horse. And then you have that horse for a year. It's still under the title of the government. So if anything happens, that horse, like say if you don't take care of it, the government can confiscate it. Or you say, something happens, the horse is, you're not meshing with the horse, or what you think it is not working, you can take it back to the BLM. But after that year, it's titled, it's your horse, you can do whatever you want with it.
And so then my next question with these Mustangs is, and this is going to sound incredibly ignorant, but what's the history like? Where are Mustangs from? They can't always have just been.
Well, that's a debate.
Okay, tell me the debate. I've been debating a lot the last few weeks, so let's go.
Let's go with it.
Of course, you have the origin of them with the Spanish conquistadors and what's feral and what's wild and what's supposed to be here and what's not, and if they're just domestic horses that have been let loose.
That's my question. Or did they come across?
I mean, there are. I don't know. I mean, listen, I've trained them. They're not domesticated horses. They're wild horses. But they do domesticate. So, I mean, depending on the herd, there are certain herds that some are known to be a little bit more difficult. Some are known to be a little bit easier.
And I think to the point is that over the years, obviously, there's been horses that have gotten loose and gone into the band.
The ranchers for sure out there would take their stock and put them out with the Mustangs, then back before the Bureau of Land Management now you're not allowed to capture a Mustang or anything. You can't do that. It's illegal. You can't kill one. You can't capture one. And so, yeah, I have one Mustang Rune, which people think there's no way that horse was wild, but he was. He had to go through the training just like all the other ones.
But don't you do
I do
tests on them to see what is the genealogy test.
It's a really good group of people that it's called Etalon DX, and actually they do really good genetics it's fun to see it with the upper level horses because they do endurance alleles and stuff like that, but I've had that done on my Mustangs, and they're able to compare the Mustangs with all the other and it's this similar profile to a warm blood horse. So that's it's not, if you do this, you're just not going to be like, oh, well, it's half quarter horse and half draft. Now,
it's a whole bunch.
I mean, there was cavalry that was let loose. There were mining ponies that were let loose. There were quarter horses too. So of course there's influences that happen. But yeah, to me, it's wild horses, wild horses.
So one thing I wanted to just say was one of the things that as a kid, I always thought would be like, okay, this is how I know I'm going to make it. One was getting a saddle sponsor. Mm-hmm. One was getting a boot sponsor. Mm-hmm. And the big one that I thought I would never achieve and will never achieve was having one of my horses made into a briar. You've done that.
I forgot that happened, yeah.
Yeah, so which horse was that?
That was Wynn. She actually competed up to the prelim level.
Right.
She was my Mustang Magic mare. And like I said, there's programs, there's the Mustang makeovers, there's also the tip challenges where we're able to train the horses. But she competed up to the prelim level, and she was a briar horse.
And I just want to say, I really appreciate it because when we came into the studio, I do remember one of the things we asked you is if we could have a briar of Rune for our
Wynn
for our shelf here, and I see that you haven't done that for us, so thank you.
That was my dad's fault.
Right.
Oh, I think I gave that one away. We need more.
See?
Yeah. All right. Just saying. Thanks so much for that.
It's actually discontinued now. So
they discontinued Wynn?
Yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah, they discontinued
a couple.
Get with it. Yeah, they did.
No.
So yeah, but
so now they're collectibles.
It's a limited edition. I want one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So she has 5, but I wanted to say this about that. When she did get into it with Fledge and she won, it was out there. You go to her YouTube channel and watch that performance.
And then click over to our YouTube channel.
And click and subscribe there.
Right.
Everybody that watches it cries. So it's pretty impressive to
I've watched it. Yeah.
See that happen. But also with that, I'm very proud of her, being her father, that really opened the doors, as you said, to social media and being able to reach out beyond the scope of just eventing.
Yep.
But it's pretty cool to see that. You have over 1 million views on YouTube and 125,000 subscribers.
110,000 subscribers.
And then just a huge Instagram.
And I can't even get a briar.
I think I texted you the other day. I was like, she just posted a video 30 minutes ago and it has 7,800 views.
Yeah. You're
Like,
super popular.
I'm not. No.
That's because they don't know you that well.
All I need her to do is just tag me every once in a while. Oh, she does, because I have Munson.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, and I think too, though, the Mustangs, like I love the Mustangs and the thoroughbreds, and they can tend to be the underdogs.
Right.
And what's great is it can be easy in the sport of eventing to get like kind of like a narrow focus and feel all that pressure. And the Mustangs kind of help balance me a little bit of taking it back to the horsemanship, and horses, I mean, all my horses do that, but it really comes down to that. And then I've got my two newest ones are Eton and Y, and they're both competing at the novice level, and they're actually pretty talented, catty little horses. So I'm curious to see how far they're gonna go. The joke is that Eton is my 5-star horse because he's been so difficult.
Right.
And because like he ran for 4 hours straight, like has a good gallop on it.
Right, there you go. He's fit. He's ready to run.
Yeah, he can do it. But he's actually a very good jumper as well. So I'm pretty excited about them, and they're a lot of fun to have, and they're good. Like I said, they're good horses, and my goal is to each year train a new Mustang so I can.
But you never get rid of them.
Yes,
so
I do.
You're gonna have to get a bigger piece of property.
She gets rid of a couple of them, but she.
What do you mean get rid of a couple of them? Talk about hoarding. I'm going to turn this around. Let's talk about
I don't hoard anything.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not, this sounds like a father-daughter thing.
No, I think we'll move on to saying this, that I think a lot of people out there listening, and you touched base on Simply Priceless, AKA Johnny, our Benjamin Button, is now semi-retired or step down. And so I'm sure in the future you're going to write some stuff about him, what's going on?
Yep. So he thinks he should be going this spring. He's not quite sure why he's not. Yeah. He gets all the cookies. He gets all of his cookies for sure. But yeah, there will definitely be that horse was amazing. He still is. But it's my job now to give back to him because he did so much for me.
Right,
so.
well, I can't wait to hear mascot.
I know.
Exactly.
Listen, I really appreciate you coming on. I know it's tough to come on here when your dad's here. I'm
always here.
He can be difficult.
Well, I got to say this before we leave.
Yes.
She said it's really, I could tell that she was going to Pine Top, and I actually texted you to say.
He gave me a hug.
I did, and then she told me that perhaps I shouldn't hug her.
No, that was John. Because John always makes it weird.
But I was going to say.
I do.
That's safe sport. What I was going to say
it was when I squeezed her a little bit.
There we go.
I told you he always makes it weird.
He's turning red. But I was going to say, I can always tell when I'm not there because there's a little bit different. She's like, oh my God, you're not, she said, y'all aren't there, me and Briggs.
Right.
And because it is different because you create this connection when you go to these things. So I knew it's been a while since she'd done that, and there was a lot of pressure. So I appreciate you and Lainey being there for her. So it was.
Yeah, well, Lainey was the rock. So
because John was like, "Hey, how'd you do?"
Yeah, I was in another bar.
I did amazing. I went clean.
Well, I can't wait for.
Oh, too bad you had to call me.
Thanks for being on the show, my sweet daughter. We're gonna come back with Sara Murphy.
Yeah, we'll be right back. Sara Murphy's in the house.
For a horse owner on the road, your trailer is essential. No one enjoys being stuck on the road. At Horse Trailer Pros, we repair, renovate, and maintain all makes and models of horse trailers. We work directly with your insurance company or manufacturer for warranty repairs and insurance claims. Our state-of-the-art facility provides quick turnaround and friendly customer service. Considering a living quarter conversion? We do those too. Find comfort on the road with Horse Trailer Pros. Call or text 352-804-2131. HorseTrailerPros.com.
Hey, Rick here. Do you have a horse suffering from poor performance, anxiety and fear, low appetite, agitation, or nervousness? Stress Less can help. Stress Less, the hot horse remedy, is veterinarian-developed, show-safe, all-natural formula that promotes calmness, focus, and mood balance in horses experiencing stress related to training, showing, racing, stall rest, and travel. This equine supplement encourages calmness, focus, and mood balance without affecting the motor skills or energy levels of your horse. It promotes a more willing and balanced temperament with no drowsiness or impaired function, resulting in increased focus, a calm mind, and a happier horse and rider. Try Stress Less today and see for yourself why we think Stress Less is the best hot horse remedy you will find. Check us out at centerlinedistribution.net and on Facebook and Instagram as Stress Less Horse Supplement.
Summit Joint Performance, the injectable joint supplement used by numerous international and Olympic riders, invites you to experience the winning Summit difference. Made of all natural ingredients, Summit increases mobility and comfort. Win your class with Summit Joint Performance.
Welcome back to the Jon and Rick Show, and brought to you by Horse Trailer Pros here at the Horse Trailer Pros Studios. We're really excited to be joined by our longtime, very good friend, Sara Murphy. Sara, thanks for joining us.
All right, Sara.
I'm honored to be here.
Yeah, no, we're thrilled to have you.
In fact, when I knew that you had Tammy on it last week, I thought, well, those men are brave. So if they've invited me and Tammy on the same set, then they're ready to have a go.
That's right. No, but we're super excited here. So just for those who maybe don't know you that well, you've ridden around some of the biggest cross-country courses in the world. You've done Kentucky numerous times. You've been around Burley. How many times at Burley?
Twice at Burley, yeah.
Right. So
yeah.
I've been with you 50% of the time there.
You have been with me 50% of the
right.
time. And we won't talk about some of John's behavior during that trip.
Evidently, we're hearing a lot about you, John.
Just the type A stressing parts.
We will talk about that.
We get that all the time. See, those are all his notes over there.
Yeah, I'm sure they
And
are.
then, I don't remember, have you been to badminton?
Yes. Actually, badminton was a special event for me to go to because my mom, I don't know if I told you this, but my mom actually grew up in that area and she hunted the Beaufort forever. And one of my uncles was actually a groundskeeper at badminton. So for us, when we had my pony club horse that you and I went to Burley together when
Augie.
you had your, Augie, that was always our plan that when we were going to retire Augie, it was going to be after badminton.
Oh, that was cool.
So he did the last long format at badminton, which I'm ashamed to say was a little while ago. But I was extremely proud to ride there, and it was a huge moment of my life. Really cool.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's pretty
amazing.
cool.
I do want to tell the story, my favorite story, that says so much about
I'm
me.
scared about what's coming up.
And so much about you, because it is an exact example of who we are as people.
Yeah,
So
we were
Rick,
an interesting pair to travel together.
It was something else. So Rick, we are in Toronto at the airport. Horses are on the plane. Darren Cha-Cha is with the horses, if I recall.
Which always adds an extra element of just
Darren was
interesting.
chaos.
Just saying
for sure.
Darren Cha-Cha, we all know.
So
right?
Sara and I and the grooms are all going through to sit in the plane up in the passenger section.
Yep.
So we have to go through security. So we're going through security, and I get through security, and then I hear this, oh, no, I know you can't do that, and I turn back, and Sara is having a debate with the security because she has a corkscrew with, I think, had a knife on it that her brother
My brother had given it to me, and he would have killed me
It was
if I had
sentimental.
lost this. It was sentimental.
So she looks at me, she says, John.
And this is before, was it before or not? No, it wasn't. God, it was after 9/11.
It was after
I should have
9/11.
known
Yeah,
better.
you definitely should have known better.
I should have known better.
Yes. So she looks at me, she says, John, I can't leave it. I have to go mail it back to myself. I'm like, okay, that's fine. We're gonna go through security. We'll be waiting for you.
That wasn't quite the reaction.
No, I can see his face.
My head was exploding.
because I know you're gonna tell the rest of the story, but to your point, the A personality probably all came melting.
Yeah. But just wait for it because I was
It keeps
right.
everyone safe. It keeps everyone safe.
Yes.
Yeah.
So after you get through security, keep in mind, then you had to go down a flight of stairs, get on a bus, and go across to your plane to another side of the terminal. So this was a big ordeal. So they're like, you need to be there at least 45 minutes ahead of time to get to your flight on time. So I'm waiting for Sara. It's like, we've got an hour and a half, no problem. Then we've got an hour. I'm getting a little bit nervous. Then we have 50 minutes. I'm a little bit nervous. Now it's 45. Where's Sara? There's still no Sara. 35 minutes before we're supposed to be on the plane boarded, Sara comes walking through with 2 bags from duty free on her hands, laughing, saying, hey, sweetie, I'm here. I made it. And I'm like, you have got to be kidding me.
God, he was angry for like 10 days.
Oh my God. So then, as only Sara can do, we walk down. I'm waiting. I'm just trying not to make eye contact because I'm like, we got a long way to go and I'm going to kill this chick, right? And as I'm waiting there, she takes her water bottle and squeezes it and sprays me in the back of the neck. And I thought, this is going to be the end. And somehow, we made it to our plane. We had a great trip, had a wonderful time.
Did have a great trip.
What a great
We're
thing
good
to
friends
do.
before,
did have
great
a great
friends
trip.
since.
So
But
And actually,
was
my
close.
favorite story from that trip, that's one of them. That's a very good rendition of that. But
That's 'cause it's the truth.
it is true. No, 100% true. And I could tell a few other ones. But one of my favorite ones is actually just waking up in the morning on cross country day because, eventers are so concerned about weather, obviously, right? Like we want to know exactly what's going to be happening. And so, John and I are obviously up early and he's down there having his breakfast and I get down, well, not having breakfast, but just
Staring at breakfast.
sitting there really stressed. And I come over, I'm like, what have you heard about the weather? And John goes, it's going to be a rainy, sunny day. What the F does that mean? What is a rainy, sunny day? Like, you're half English. Like, explain this. And so I was like,
That's awesome.
I don't know what to say, but I think the ground's pretty okay, so let's just go with it. So later in the day, when you would watch the cross country, on one half of the course, like when you're in the rider's tent, right? One half of the course is sunny, and the other half it's rainy. I'm like, John, that's a rainy, sunny day.
It's a rainy, sunny day.
There it is.
Yeah. So the last thing on this trip, Rick, is we've got a rental car. And I've been really paranoid about this rental car the whole trip.
Because you drive on the left side, that's why?
And I'm like trying to drive well, I don't want to
Wheel
cause
the
any
center
problems.
line. I did tell him this. But.
Right, so we're going to we're all done, the event's over, we're going to go take the car back to the airport. I put it into reverse, I back up, and I smash into a post. And Sarah can't stop laughing.
Oh, come on.
How bad did you smush it?
I mean, I definitely took it in, dropped it off at the rental car place, and took off as fast as I could. And I never got a phone call about it or anything.
They didn't charge you?
Well, you've got to remember this is also in the time, like when, I remember one of the first trips I went over there, it was, I think Mr. Davidson was with us and a few other people, and we were at the rental car company, we were all going to share a car. All of our licenses were suspended, like all of them. But you couldn't check that then, right? Like, so you just took that, sure, and I was thinking, and they gave us the cars. I'm like, you're giving a car to Bruce Davidson? Like, good luck to that, right? Like that's going to be great by the end of the trip.
Yeah, so it was...
That's a cool trip. That's a cool
trip.
story.
It's memories.
It was a great trip. We had a wonderful time. And
I love that Mr. Safety backed up into the thing, though. It was perfect.
Well, I think the biggest story is, one of the biggest stories, is all the work you've done for Kentucky.
Yeah.
I can't believe how quick to action you jumped in there, and I know Dorothy was on there with you, and
yes,
a whole bunch of
Lynn
people.
as well, yeah.
A whole bunch of people. But it's impressive.
You were the leader.
You were the leader.
Well, I'll honestly say my husband came up with the idea.
Right.
He'd heard me moaning a bit on I think it was announced on a Tuesday, and he had heard me moaning about it. And that night I said, Brian, this is just ridiculous. Like, we're one of the wealthiest countries in the world. We have so much opportunity. Like, why can't, for us to not run this year doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
So the next day he actually rang Eric DeVander, who connected him with Lee Carter.
Lee Carter, right.
Yeah, and Brian was just on the phone going, he said, whenever we have, and this is actually the story of my relationship with my husband, because he's always, why aren't you thinking bigger? Like, why are you riding this horse? Why are you doing this? And I'm thinking, well, because this is what we can afford, right? And I don't mean that in a bad way. We're all blessed to do what we do, right? But he always takes it a step further. He says, well, no, you should find out what the number is, what we can actually do, and if we don't make it work, then we don't make it work, right? So he did a bit of research, and anyway, very long story short, the number was that we had to come up with $750,000, and Brian started making phone calls that night. We literally sat down at a table. Sharon White lives with me, so it was Brian, myself, and Sharon, and we're going through our contacts, going, we should call this person and that person, and honestly, that's how it started.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I know, and it took off from there, and I know. I had some conversations with Lee just about Lee Carter, and as did you.
Yep.
And I do remember at one point, and Lee can attest to this, I was getting really frustrated with the 24-hour move of the goalpost. And I sent him a text, and I just said, hey, why don't you make this realistic and push it forward?
No, thank you for that.
I think you were at 567 actually at that point. I remember the number. And I think a lot of people probably told him that. And I think if you got to $567,000 in 3 days, they needed to go, this is going to work.
Well, and on the weekend, right?
Right.
Not for
so
nothing.
I'm glad they did. I'm glad they said, okay, we know this is going in the right direction.
And that was great.
Yeah.
So,
No, and to be fair, like they were trying. Like I don't think anyone, least of all myself, thought that it was going to work. Right. So I think once we started, once we got to a point where it was viable, then everybody was willing, like everybody. And you know, I went into this, I dived in quite naively, but maybe in a way that's not the worst thing in the world, because I had absolutely no. So when someone would say, "Well, we can't do this," I would go, "Why?"
Right.
Sure
we can. Brian said we could.
you know, and I think,
why can't we do this? And I think that's, you know, the people that I learned now that there's a lot of entities involved. You know, it's not just the EI, which was obviously created by the great Janie Atkinson and Alston Kerr, like to run the World Equestrian Games, and that is, we owe them a huge amount.
We do owe them a huge amount, and what I want to do is we just need to take a quick little break, and then I want to come back, because I think this whole thing, what it has done is given us a little bit of a shakeup with everything at Kentucky, and you probably have a little bit of insight into that. So let's take a quick break, and we're going to come back and we're going to keep talking about Kentucky.
Grant Showalter has over 15 years of equine bodywork and saddle fitting experience. His technique uses manual pressure and stretching to release points of restriction, leading to freer movement, reduced soreness, and restored range of motion. He has a thorough understanding of the importance of a properly fitted saddle. You can quickly identify and correct any balance issues and can adjust your saddle on site. I personally have Grant work on all of my event horses to keep them feeling their best before, during, and after their competitions. Grant is based in Florida year-round, but regularly travels to Georgia, Tennessee, and the surrounding areas. For more information or to schedule an appointment, call 484-639-4454. Jump for Joy USA has what you need for your private farm or recognized competition. Our jumps are no maintenance, easy to move, and affordable. No scraping or painting necessary. We offer jump stands, wings, fillers, water trays, and more. Poles are wood-filled and available in 4 weights and lengths. And we now offer octagonal poles. Our cross-country portables and brush jumps are extremely useful and have been used for training by the British eventing team since 1990. Easy to move from the arena to the field and no tractor required, so you can change your setup often. We ship coast to coast in the USA and Canada. Visit our website, jumpforjoyusa.com. When it comes time to compete, I demand the best out of my horses and myself. That's why Elemental Fit Lab, the home of CrossFit antics, is my home gym. Coach Vilma and her team create a fun, welcoming environment for athletes of all levels. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned athlete, Elemental Fit Lab will guide you towards a stronger, healthier version of you. Mention the Jon and Rick Show to get 3 free personal training sessions with enrollment.
Sweet Dixie South is an equestrian facility built for the lifestyle of eventers of all levels. Whether you are coming to Ocala for the entire season, a week, a month, or a year, this beautiful 160-acre farm is the place to settle in and enjoy your time with horses. They offer a full cross-country course with 2 water features, banks, ditches, and amazing footing to gallop, a spectacular all-weather footing ring, large grass jumping fields, and dressage rings. Located in the rolling hills of North Marion County in Reddick, Florida, Sweet Dixie South has 100 stalls and numerous paddocks, apartments, a line of camper hookups, washer and dryer amenities, as well as common areas to complete your experience during your stay. Under the ownership of Mike Campbell and the management of Can-Do Joe Adams of Top Rail Tack, Sweet Dixie South has transformed into a premier eventing training facility in Florida. Go to www.sweetdixiesouth.com for more information. Welcome to the Jon and Rick Show here at Horse Trailer Pro Studios. We're still here with Sara Murphy, and we're going to talk about some more things about Kentucky and some other great your horses and I believe frangible pens.
Yeah, so Sara, we were just talking about Kentucky, and obviously we were saying all the great effort you put in with the fundraising, but one of the things that I wanted to just touch base on is I feel like I've heard there's been a little bit of a shakeup there with Kentucky and a lot of about sort of fundraising, not just for the event, but what they're going to do sort of for frangibles, for grassroots eventing, and some, I know they always give back to the sport at that event. So tell us a little bit about that.
No, they absolutely do. I mean, obviously, when I jumped into this quite naively, and I had a huge amount of help from a lot of people, but I will say Dorothy Crowell and Lynn Szymanski, this would not have happened without either of them. When those were 5 days where we didn't get off the farm from 4:30 in the morning to 10 o'clock at night, plus we're trying to run your your normal life, right? And those ladies were really what made it happen. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I learned about it, and I will say that there's been no sort of no reason on anybody's part to not make this happen. But I think there could have been a bit more of continuity between the Kentucky Horse Park Foundation, the Kentucky Horse Park itself, and EEI, right? And I think that's actually, this situation has shaken a lot of that up, and what's going to come out of it is going to be better for our sport going forward. And we must all appreciate hugely how important it is for us to have a 5-star in this country, because we should never have to travel out of the United States to ride at the highest level. That to me is ridiculous.
Right, and having one and getting one established in the fall, I mean, we don't want to lose one gain one, we want to keep 2.
Right, absolutely.
100%. And when people say, oh, well, what is it really doing for us? Well, guys, when you look at the story of British eventing and how consistently good those riders are, like that badminton barely been around since the 40s. Like, we're quite young in comparison. So, the Kentucky Horse Park was built because of the great Bruce Davidson, and that was 1978. So you look at when the first 4-star, now 5-star ran, that was 1999. Right. So we sometimes our country sometimes has a little bit of a deficit on the side of that we are our youth, right? We need to appreciate the history of it and understand that it takes time to build, and to go down definitely. And to leave a 5-star, just go, oh, it's okay. We don't really. Why do we really need this? No, we really need it.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And you were. I mean, even I asked you that question, and you were on it right away. So, obviously, one of the things you do is you fight to save that 5-star. Because you also have ambition to ride at that 5-star at some point. So whether that's this year or next year or whenever, what are the horses you have in your barn right now? What are you doing? I did see you around Rocking Horse on Kermit, right?
I did
he
ride.
Looked awesome.
I did ride the little brown power around there.
Yeah.
And I have some really lovely horses. One thing my husband has done is I don't ride. Everything I ride is pretty fantastic. But so talking about Kentucky, I would like to take Rubens around Kentucky, but I also think, and I don't know how you feel about this, Jon and Rick, but to me the sport is changing a tiny bit. Like, you don't always, like in show jumping, you can have a speed horse in your barn, or you can have a 1.60 horse in your barn, or you can have a puissance horse in your barn. They're not all the same horse, right? And so eventing was never that. Like, it was always, we're going to jump badminton or Kentucky or Burley or do something like that.
Always aiming for the 5 long.
Right, it was one horse, right? And so, I have a few horses that can do different things, and do I tentatively, am I thinking I'll take Rubens to Kentucky 5-star? Yeah, but am I okay if I decide to only run that horse at the 4-star level or 4-star short level? Yes, I am. Right. Like, I think he's a very good horse. The fight for the 5-star, is much bigger than me, and it wasn't about that.
So what is the plan for Rubens then to get him ready? Because obviously you must have a plan. I'm going to get him ready for Kentucky. These are the competitions I'm going to go to, and these are the things that need to go right.
You know me well enough to know there's no plan.
God bless.
I know, I'm telling you.
And the sad thing is there's a little bit of truth.
No. Okay, in all seriousness. So, I don't believe in running experienced horses a ton. He's a very, very good horse. He knows what he's doing. He did go to Ocala and run the intermediate. I'm very lucky enough to go to Bruce's Field this week, which I'm looking forward to. I've never been there, so that'll be super fun.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, Mark says they're using a lot of the steeplechase track because the races are not going to be there this year, so I think that's going to be a great school.
Yep.
And then I was actually going to take him to Stableview and make a decision at that point.
Right, okay.
He's going to be fit enough to run what he needs to run, and at that point I'm going to decide.
So Stableview goes the way you want it to go, cross country feels good, that's where you'll make the decision.
Yes.
Doing Kentucky or we're doing Jersey.
My rule is to do whatever feels right at the time, no matter what. So I don't actually care what, I just do whatever I think is right.
Right.
I did hear something about Bruce's Field from Holly Jacks, that she would be playing her father's music during Bruce's
that's cool.
Field.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So she made that, she told me, and I said, well, is your dad going to listen? She goes, he doesn't have any internet or anything else. But
That's
I
so
told him he's
cool.
excited about it. It's Terry Jacks that is a really cool rock and roll guy.
Yeah,
I picked Eminem.
See.
That's pretty cool. Eminem is awesome. I would pick Eminem as.
I actually picked Pink, but I would pick Eminem.
You know, it's funny. I did one of those years ago, and Sinead picked out the music, and for me, she picked out Pretty Fly.
Always
for a
Pretty
White
Fly
Guy.
for a White Guy. Oh my God, I just said that and I didn't even know.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, Sinead Jinx. Yep.
Good choice.
So when you went, what did you play?
It wasn't Bruce's Field. It was one here when these were first getting
when
started.
they were first starting it.
And I go out of the box and I hear Pretty Fly for a White Guy, and I'm like, all right. This is
I can't believe I just guessed that. Maybe I heard it, but whew, okay.
So the other thing that I personally appreciate about you is you've been a pretty big supporter of all the frangible fence efforts.
Yes, of course.
And
I've lived it. Like, I think that's the thing that we need to talk about. It's sort of like, you know, when people are talking about mental health or whatever else that they might be slightly ashamed of. You know, when you've been riding at the sport at the highest levels for as long as, like, we all have, right? Stuff has gone wrong. And I think it's important for everyone to talk about that. And I've broken 2 frangible pins in my life, and I believe that both of them saved my life, or could have potentially saved my life. And one was in 2006 at Blenheim on Somerset, which we can all agree was a fantastic cross-country horse. And it was a bad day, and I was I obviously hadn't done the work properly to get there, a bad ride, like whatever you want to say. But as I came down into the water there, yeah, I mean, he hesitated a second and he put a foot down and he whacked it really hard, and the fence, then the log into the water, fell, right? So the old-fashioned frangible pen, it fell.
Yep.
And at the time, you know, as I'm coming out out of the water, Blenheim like the swamp monster, you know, these sort of things are, you know, it's unfortunately a part of the sport. And I think what you've done, Jon, because you've been behind a few things, like it's not just the frangible stuff. I also remember some different types of technology with logs and things that you're involved in. And some things work and some things don't. But I think it's very important for us all to talk about it and to not be embarrassed about it, because at the end of the day, I can show you clips of some of the greatest riders in the world, and I can tell you they've fallen and they've had some bad falls.
Sure.
And so it's not something that we all need to hide from, but you know, it is hard to talk about. So I had that one in 2006, and then I also had a very bad fall at Tryon just this last year in 2020, and it was I was 2 for mom, 3 for mom, and at the, you know, honestly, I just missed. I mean, we're not gonna sugarcoat it.
Right.
My horse is a little bit tired. He jumped super around the whole track, like really super around the whole track. And I should have just done what I know to do. I should have dog-legged it. I should have balanced a bit. I should have done something differently, and I didn't. And I'm not an inexperienced rider, and I'm not on a bad jumping horse. So I think, exceptional jumping horse. And I think that, you know, I mean, I think we all need to realize that, and this I think is something that you have said before to me, Jon, that we can't say to ourselves that, oh, well, you know, she just wasn't riding well. Well, I mean, come on, guys. Like, let's be real. Sometimes you're going to make a mistake, and because if you're not going for it here and there, like, then you're actually not winning. So you know, you do
and
have
sometimes if you're not going for it, it might be a little bit more unsafe. I mean, if you're riding backwards to something.
Well, I missed. I mean, let's just be honest. Like, I missed, but it wasn't like.
And the table collapsed. And you walked away
yes,
from
the
it.
table collapsed, and so I've had a few upper level riders actually contact me since then, that I said, oh, you know, we're not really sure. And I, like, genuinely, Jon, I didn't talk to you about this, but just saying, you know, this is frangible stuff, like, does it really work? I'm like, yes, it absolutely does. Like, I can tell you right now that that would have been a horrific fall. I don't know exactly what would have happened, but it would have been awful. And all it was was me banging up my shoulder, and poor Lynn, because I was just screaming on the ground out of anger, and the jump judges and everything. I got up obviously, but there was a lot of, like, you know, things we can't say on television, but. You know, I was very angry because I was just thinking, God, I come back from all these injuries and I almost make it around. I fall 2 from home, like this bloody sport. But I walked away from it, and all Rubens had was a cut lip.
Yep. Right.
All, you know.
Well, I'm just so thankful that you did walk away from it,
and thankful that you can talk about it. I think we all should be able to talk about our successes and our things that aren't so much successful, but we learn from that.
We have to talk about it. We have to talk about it because otherwise people think there's a shame in making it.
There is no shame.
And there shouldn't, and there really should not be. So when we're talking about like the fundraising things and everything that Jon has done, that is huge. And I'm involved in a really exciting, venue in Sarasota on the west coast of Florida.
We're excited about
and
that.
when Jon, was first started to call and talk about like after the tragedy, I mean it's cumulative, right? Like it's not just the one tragedy. Like
That
we've
was
all
the catalyst.
like we've all lived through too many tragedies, right? And Jon was just like, well, we're going to do this and we're going to put this fund together. And so the first thing I thought was, well, the place that I'm involved in we will commit to do everything frangible. And I think that's important. It's easier for us to do because we haven't built the tables.
Right, and that's down at Terra Nova.
Yes, it's easier for us to do because we hadn't built them at the time. But it's just the gesture, right? Like this is the way the sport needs to go, it's what we need to do, right?
Yeah.
So, and then with Kentucky, Kentucky gives to a lot of different charities, and one of them being the Children's Hospital and a variety of other worthy
great
causes,
charity.
right?
Absolutely.
Like we're lucky. And this year is obviously a bit different because we're just we're using the money that we've raised to run the event, and we'll see what happens afterwards. But, Kentucky, the whole thing was to keep it alive, and it's going to be there for a very long time.
Right.
If we manage it properly, it's here for a long time. So what we can do now is we can use that saying, okay, we'll go ahead and add the frangible thing as part of the thing that it gets given to every year.
Right.
And that's one of the things I want to do for grassroots sports. So for everyone in the country can benefit because Kentucky will give back, and they were delighted to do it, and they'll do it for, forever.
That's
As long as they are alive, they will keep giving to the frangible fund, and I think that's important.
Well, it is important, and it's important they do. The Children's Hospital is probably more important.
No, of course, yeah.
But I think the fact that Kentucky has always given is even more reason that it was so important that we were able to save it. I sincerely appreciate all the effort you put into it, and Dorothy and Lynn and the whole eventing community to get that done. So listen, we're out of time, but I really appreciate you coming in and joining us.
Thanks for being here.
A great visit. I'm glad we got to rehash some of the Burley fiascos.
And we still know that you're still a personality.
I am who I am.
Time has come for us to go.
All right, so we'll be back in a couple weeks. Thanks for joining us.
Rick Wallace.
And I have Jon Holly here with me.
3 phases: dressage, cross country, show jump. And you're out on course and something's going wrong or going right. You know how to react to what they're doing.
It was built originally to be a schooling facility, and so everything's set up very conveniently.